Hello, everyone.
Look who's here.
I'm back.
He's back. He
I'm
made
back.
it.
And I survived. Do.
They returned him to us.
Yeah, they returned him. They returned him in more or less good as normal condition. Hello, cult leader and Lord
Well, the
Commander.
cult leader's not here yet. He's still eating lunch.
I was about to say, I don't think I'm a cult leader. You're not about that guy.
Is that Jabe in a wig? Yes.
Yes, except I can't.
A very, very clever disguise.
Look, it's a good wig. It's really on there. Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful evening. I am back from traveling. It was a very good show, though.
Good.
It was really, really fun.
Good.
It definitely felt like Gen Con,
I don't know
just
what Gen Con
a
feels
little
like.
smaller.
Yeah.
It was a similar kind of feel to the show.
Mhm.
There was like lots of different things that people were interested in.
Yeah.
Card games, board games, miniature games, RPGs, all sorts of stuff. Art. It was very cool.
Was flight security gentle?
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing is the way that we set up the flights, I was able to go through customs in Dublin. So that made the whole customs experience like pretty easy. Like it only took me like 20 or 30 minutes to get through customs.
Nice.
At the most.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Papa Chicken, are you
Are you
indeed right as rain?
You told both Jason and I separately that you would be back right as rain today.
Yeah. I am. Well, I think I sent you guys literally the same message.
Back, if you were going to come back with an accent.
I definitely picked up a little bit of it
Yeah.
while I was there, just because people like that's just the way they talk.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you get to say top of the morning?
I said it once as a joke. I said it once as a joke.
Well?
No, they thought it was funny. I mean, they're all like funny people.
Yes.
You know, we had a good time. It was they're a blast. That whole crew is a whole lot of fun.
Who'd you get to meet?
So I've met.
You know some of them, yeah.
Yeah, I've met Ed, Byron, and Paul before. But the rest of their crew who don't typically go to shows, like a lot of the Element staff that just like work at the stores, I got to meet, which was really cool. And they're all really, really, really nice people.
Yeah.
And we basically spent. It's funny to make the joke, but we would get home from the event every day. We would go straight to the pub because there was a pub attached to our hotel.
Okay.
Which is very much a British thing, I suppose. And we'd have a pint, we'd go have dinner, and then we'd come back and have another pint. And during this whole experience, we'd be doing nothing but playing Liar's Dice.
Oh. Did Jordan see Steam Forged games?
I don't think they were there. I didn't see a booth, but I mean they were probably there. But I did see the announcement. It's kind of hard for me to not know about it with my background.
Maybe that's what Ghost Hunter is asking.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the Privateer Press thing, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Steamforge just announced it yesterday.
So maybe is that what you're asking,
or the
Ghost
day
Hunter?
before.
Did Jordan see the news? Is that what you're asking?
Oh, sure. Yes, I did see the news. I heard about it a little ahead of time, but I saw the official announcement.
That too.
Dodge Howell, love you too.
Thank you. Who's this guy?
Who's
I
this
know.
guy?
He just wandered in off the street.
I did.
Had some weird hybrid.
I snuck in through the back
accent.
door. Good to see you guys. I painted a thing while I was there.
Oh, it looks really cool.
I was having a lot of fun with her. Creepy old crone.
It's weird to say she's looking good, but she is looking good.
She's looking.
Looking something.
She's looking fine.
Looking kind of crony.
Definitely very crony.
That glow is super cool.
Yeah, I was very happy with how it turned out.
Sorry for eating Pringles. I did not have time for that.
OSL missing on the shrooms. Need to prime and repaint. We're working on it still. It's not done yet. I spent a lot of time painting the face.
It's a work in progress. It's Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? Yeah.
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 Is it? Yes.
Yes. Happy to see you made it back safe and sound, Baby J. How was across the pond?
Delightful. It was.
Did you eat fish
very
and
nice.
chips?
You know, unfortunately, and this is the biggest disappointment of the weekend, I did not. So no, I had plans to. So here's what happened. So most of the time for the first couple of days, we kind of just like went and ate at the hotel because they had like a pretty nice restaurant. And so we would like go back, we do all the stuff and we'd eat at the hotel. On Saturday night, we went out and we ate Indian food. And then the plan was for me to go and eat at they call it the Chippy, which is the generic term for a fish and chips restaurant.
Okay. See, he's coming back with the slang.
I know. I picked up a lot of it while I was there. It's pretty funny. So I was going to eat it there on Sunday, but Ed on the way back, he was like, "It might be closed on Sundays." And I was like, "What do you mean they might be closed on Sundays?" He's like, "Oh, no, they close early on Sundays." So they were closed when I came back. I was like, "Bummer." Well, bright side, the restaurant at the hotel has fish and chips, so I can just have like relatively normal, not quite the same as like the official thing
From the chipper.
Yeah,
Chippy.
Yeah, that is what they called it. But I went to the restaurant that night and the restaurant was closed.
Oh no.
so I'm like, it's Sunday night. We'd just torn down. Everybody was already gone because they tore down and they drove back to Nottingham.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, well, I guess I need to figure out what I'm doing for dinner.
Because you were by yourself at this point.
I was by myself. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to go back to the Indian restaurant that we went to the night before. So
I
had that. And then had a...
Did you have, hold on. Well, bangers and mash, bubbles and squeak. Have any of those?
I mean, what are those things?
Bangers and mash is like sausage and potatoes, I think.
Yeah, I mean, no.
I don't know what bubble and squeak is.
The breakfasts that we had were like very much traditional, like English
beans
breakfast.
On toast?
Yeah, there was toast and there was beans and there was eggs and there was, sausage, but like different sausage than breakfast sausage.
So I've never been to the UK. I'm wondering, like, because you said you ate at the hotel. So, like, if we were to just go to a hotel restaurant here,
yeah,
we would have standard, like, burgers, sandwiches, salads, chicken, Is that pretty much the same thing there?
Yeah, pretty much. It had kind of like a weird assortment of stuff. Huh?
You could get like a burger on the...
Yeah, but it wasn't a traditional like American cheeseburger.
Okay.
It was like weird variations on it that were a little weird. I did not have any meat pies, Mannerings. Mannerings and Teeny Tiny Victories I met at the show.
That's so fun.
They came by at least once a day
like
and kept me
Chuck and
company.
Jade.
They were amazing. It was wonderful to see you guys.
We have Cornish pasty right down the street. He can get that anytime he wants.
Yeah, I can get Cornish pasties here.
Jason and I went to Cornish pasty a week or so.
Yeah.
For some Scotch eggs.
But now,
and pasty.
I'm very excited to try the Indian food from that restaurant that you guys were talking about.
It's really good.
Because that Indian place that we went to was awesome. It was really good.
I mean, maybe not compare it, but it was good.
Much love, Mannerings. Smash burgers are strangely very rare over in the UK.
Nice.
It wasn't even smash burgers. Like, I'm just looking for like a generic cheeseburger with like a patty, some cheese, like lettuce, tomato, onion, and like mayo mustard.
I mean, you can get that here, so you don't really.
Yeah. But like occasionally you're like, I just want something that's like relatively normal, so I don't have to like experiment with some weird stuff. And Thank you, Teeny Tiny Victories. You guys were absolutely wonderful. It was such a pleasure to visit with you
That's
guys.
so fun.
They were very, very sweet.
It's always really cool. I mean, because you guys watching see our faces all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not reciprocal, so it's always really cool to be able to go
It's
to a show.
Yeah, it's
and
amazing.
put a face, you know, to the people that are here hanging out with us all the time.
Mm-hmm. They always came
It's
to check.
one of the
check
things
in.
I miss most about going to shows. Go to the Beatles Cross. Were you in that part?
No. I don't think we were anywhere close to it. We were in Birmingham. I don't know exactly where, but it was very close to the airport. It was like maybe 15 minutes away from the airport.
Did you go to all the civil rights stuff? The Martin Luther King?
Huh?
Birmingham, which to me is Alabama, where there's like civil rights, Martin Luther King stuff. Hi. Oh, have a good trip. Have so much fun.
You on a trip?
Yeah. Going to Austin.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Have a
If I
fun
didn't just go on a trip, I would have been jealous.
trip.
But you know what? You can enjoy it. I did go to England, yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, none. Yeah, I didn't piss off any of the Mounties with their swords. No.
Mounties are Canadians.
Oh yeah, that's true. They kind of have something similar though.
They have what do they call them? Bobbies?
I forget what they're called.
I think they're called bobbies. Are they called bobbies?
I don't know. Oh, bummer. I was likely immune because I had it earlier this year.
What?
COVID.
Oh.
Yeah, Teeny Tiny and Mannerings both got it at the show.
The trip is William. William is Jason, mine and Jason's nephew.
Hi, Jade. I am back. I have survived.
So
Bobbies
we've
are
just
the
been
cops,
spending the last 15 minutes or so hearing a little bit about Baby J's trip.
It was a blast. I'm actually fine at the moment.
Uh-oh. Adventures in Machine Shops flashback.
Uh-oh.
Former coworker is being hunted by the U.S. Marshals. Oh, what? All right.
What?
I am interested in this one. Not that I wasn't interested in your other stories of adventures in machine shops, but this one is right up my alley.
That's wild. Thank goodness that they're former coworkers and you don't associate with them
No.
anymore.
Newport's a serious business.
Yeah,
Wow.
luckily.
If you shot him in the Newports, he probably would have been fine. Assume the Jericho bust I bought was from you, unless I'm wrong. Is Jericho... I mean, did you get it from our website?
I don't know.
Is it a Mindwork? We have a lot of miniatures back there, and I don't know all of them. I don't even know half of them. Probably.
Oh, I think that is one of the models that we have.
One of the newer
Hi.
Mindwork ones.
Hello.
Yeah,
Good morning.
not morning.
Yeah.
No, as a matter of fact, for your jet lag, but it's actually late at night.
That's
Also true. Thanks.
technically true. Yeah. That's somewhere. Somewhere.
He's not pulling that over on me, Chet.
If we were in Japan right now.
Mechanized imposter, I don't
Could be the morning.
understand. Yes, it isn't my working. Are you okay?
Yeah, the cult leader has arrived. We're back with the cult leader 101. This
Yeah,
is
paint
very
liquor, that's
cool
what I was
paint
thinking.
scheme.
But I don't know for sure.
Dad's here. The whole gang is back together again. Yes.
Newports and a Colt 45. A hell of a combo. That is true.
We just got an
Okay,
update.
it's a
Are we talking malt liquor? Colt 45, malt liquor?
No,
the
like a
gun.
literal gun.
Oh,
Chuck was just sharing his latest Adventures in Machine Shop story, and it is that a former coworker is being hunted by the U.S. Marshals because he shot his neighbor in the chest over a pack of Newports.
I mean, don't touch a man's cigarettes.
That's exactly right. And yep, and Teeny Tiny Victories was saying, and Captain Mannerings were both saying how nice Jordan is. They called him a delight.
All right. How much did he pay you?
Nothing.
And was it on the company card?
That was not. You can check that to prove me right.
Did he expense this?
Colt 45, the malt liquor. Okay. Or his
Yeah.
malt liquor. All right.
I'm paying off our customers one at a time with the
Ooh,
company
Papa
card.
Chicken, what'd you think? We still have one episode left.
I'm buying love. One
Papa Chicken
expense
said,
report
didn't
at a
paint it all
time.
last night. Mom intrigued / tricked me into watching Dancing for the Devil with the wife instead. He was in actually Birmingham, England.
Correct.
That was my attempt to be funny by saying Alabama and asking about civil rights.
You went to UK Games Expo in Alabama.
What a man. They
Let
must have taken
Jordan
me on
back
a
in the
weird
building.
route back home then, because it took me a lot longer.
Did the people talk funny?
They did talk funny.
Alabama.
I suppose they would also
Could go
talk
either
funny in
way.
Alabama.
That's true. Maybe you were just in Alabama and the plane just flew around for hours and hours in circles.
How do any of us know where we actually are? Because we could all be being spoofed.
Exactly.
Sounds like a thing that's plausible.
Oh, Quad Tomato said when the English say he's a delight, it's similar to when people in the South say, bless his heart.
He was a treat.
You know who was an absolute treat?
Uh-oh, who?
All of the wonderful people at the Element Games booth.
Oh, he's definitely. We know those guys. We know he's lying.
Well, technically, you only know a couple of them. There were some new ones that showed up.
The ones that are so out of control they can't even bring him to the U.S.
Yep.
Yeah. You have to admit, you got to judge Element Games based on the people they allow to come to the U.S.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we ought to take another look at Byron, because that guy got us shots of gin, which was absolutely awful, by the way.
Oh, he's a lot different in his
I don't-
hometown, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that you're supposed to do shots of gin.
You're not, and
Yeah.
there's a good reason for
Yeah.
it. I did too. The first one was absolutely terrible, and I'm glad the second one was,
The first one was bad enough, you did a second one.
yeah.
Jordan, you haven't learned this whole life thing yet.
Well,
You fell to the peer pressure. British peer pressure will kill you. These are the people.
survived, all right.
These are the people who at Bugman's drank vodka and Diet Coke in pint glasses.
oh, believe me, I'm aware of how much and how often they drink.
Teeny said, no, he's an actual treasure. No sarcasm.
Oh, that's so kind of you, teeny tiny.
Captain Mannering said, I've heard he likes gin.
I really don't.
No, I think he meant Byron.
Oh, I don't think he likes gin either.
Oh, is he trolling?
Well, from what I understand, he went to the bar and he was like, "Hey, let's get some shots." And they're like, "Well, we don't really have a lot of options for you." And apparently, the best option was gin. So
So that's not even an option.
They didn't have
well,
tequila? What kind of bar is this? Doesn't have tequila.
I mean, it's a pub.
So in England, not all of them are big liquor places.
Yeah, they didn't have a
Oh,
lot of options for
gotcha.
liquor.
Yeah, what about Malort?
No, thank you.
Malort.
Yeah, done that. Been there, done that. And am pleased to never go there again.
Ooh, Mechanized Imposter. That's my no drink.
Your no drink?
Mm-hmm.
Rum.
and Coke.
Somebody must have said rum.
I don't
and Coke.
particularly care for rum.
Is that what they said, babe?
Yeah, rum and Coke. Can't do it. I mean, I don't drink at all, but it had been years since I'd had a rum and Coke.
So you want to talk about the biggest rug pull in the history of relationship rug pulls?
Oh, do tell.
Jen used to drink like a fish.
I did.
And then one day she's like, nope, not doing it anymore. She literally quit cold turkey, right?
Had to.
And left me hanging.
Yep.
Had
I
to.
was like, well, I guess I'm not drinking anymore.
Gin drinkers, how do you drink Christmas trees so casually? I see it, and and that is my thing too. Is like I think a gin and tonic tastes like a Christmas tree, but I sort of thought that the Christmas tree flavor was the tonic.
It's just bad.
I never did any experimentation to separate them. That was just my assumption.
Not my favorite alcoholic beverage.
Game Delay said the glow on the crone is wonderful, but she's not nearly as seductive as Jason's. That is true. Jason gave her some
But look at that lighting.
sexy eyes.
Dude,
I mean, the eyes on yours look fantastic too, though, Jordan. They're
Oh,
just
thank you.
not the come hither.
yeah, I wasn't necessarily going for the come hither. I was going for the I'm a creepy lady with funky glowing mushrooms and good old wrinkly skin.
Yeah, X-ray and my bad times with rum happened before I even turned 21. So it's been a long time.
Let's just say we're not doing that anymore. No more rum.
Not all gins are heavy on juniper. Some, like Bombay, have a more citrus flavor. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. There not being a reflection from the glow on the eyes is confusing me. He's not done yet,
I'm not done yet.
so
Also, eyes
don't let it
interact
confuse
sort of
you
weird.
too much yet. We have someone here, Jordan, named new username Whodis.
New username, who
And
this?
we'll see if you can figure out who that is. Because it is someone we know. I was only a couple minutes late. Did Jordan start that piece in the UK, or does he paint way faster when I'm not watching? Like some
Started
Twilight
at 2
Zone?
p.m.
Yep. I started it approximately 24 minutes ago.
And he's reprimed it and repainted it in that time too.
I have,
so,
in fact, done that.
Got to be on time.
So I held the priming nozzle to Thanos while you were gone.
Yeah.
Did you? That's actually awesome.
Rum flavored pastries give me a headaches. It hasn't motivated me to try real rum. That's a good choice.
I noticed that you didn't
Chet
actually.
said that I asked if we would gain followers, and they said you'd lose them because half of us would have a heart attack
Yeah,
and die.
they die.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Your
So I
bad
didn't do
time with
it.
alcohol was drinking absinthe, Ryan Wallace. See, the
Ugh.
problem that people have with absinthe is that they think they're supposed to do it as shots, which is not correct.
No.
I personally don't care for absinthe because I don't like black licorice, but I understand the process of it and the ritual of it that makes people like it. Sir Addy said, had a fun time with some Americans here in Germany when they tried to beat me and my friends in beer drinking. Funny guys.
I bet
but
that went-
drinking wasn't theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess with a German when it came to beer drinking.
I don't know. I've met a lot of Germans who are not used to some of the
Oh well, like
alcohol
harder. Yeah,
content
that's
of
true.
American
if they're
beers.
drinking the real light beers.
There's like Warsteiner and stuff that a lot of people drink as like daily drivers.
Yeah,
over there.
like
Not exactly heavy duty. But if they drink like delirium tremens or something all day long, then yeah, I'm not going to the bar with that person. Because you're not
Alcohol.
making it back alive.
oh my gosh, Papa Chicken, that sounds delicious. I'm not gonna lie. Now, coconut rum is not part of the equation. I never had a problem with that.
Coconut rum.
My guilty pleasure is Sunny D and coconut rum. That sounds so good. First class is a third rum. Second is 2/3 rum. Don't call Warsteiner a beer, please.
I mean, I argue this with Germans all the time. So what's your most popular beer?
It is
For a
flavored
bunch of years, it
water.
was Budweiser, by the way. We're supposed to believe Germans know what they're doing.
Wait. You mixed Red Bull and absinthe?
What?
Is that what you're saying? I mean, I guess I can kind of see that it would be like a Jaeger bomb, but
Yeah.
But way, way, way worse.
Only time I ever had absinthe, they did it all Baroque style and then poured it into a pitcher of like fruit juice in Scotland.
Weird.
So you didn't they handed it to me and I was like, this is just like alcoholic fruit punch. This doesn't. I think I missed the entire thing other than watching you, like what, pour it over a sugar cube for a bunch
Yeah.
of time or something.
well, and then they have these special glass. So my friend's husband is super into absinthe, and he makes the glasses for it because you're supposed to have a specific kind of glass where you pour it in, and if it's really good, you don't need the sugar.
Oh, okay.
Like if it's a really high quality absinthe, you don't need the sugar. But it's this little, it almost looks like a weird little glass with a built-in straw, kind of.
Yeah, it has like
It's
a
kinda
pipette
crazy.
thing on it.
Weird.
Spotted cow, yes, I've had that. Mai Tai with extremely high quality ingredients, including the rum. A port and lemonade, like an old lady. Like together? A port and lemonade, is that one drink? Like a wine with lemonade? Is that what a port is?
Happy belated birthday, by the way.
Oh, now he says it. He's been here all day.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
All day, chat.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
Here we go.
I knew that I was going to see you and I could say it on stream.
You
Happy
knew you
birthday.
were going to see me.
Oh, that
I did.
peanut butter, and yeah, that sounds delicious.
Did you have a good birthday stream?
We had a good time. Proving to chat who really loves them.
Sometimes I think that Jason just sends me away so that he can make himself look better at chat.
Yes.
He's like, Jordan, I need you to go away for a while.
I need you to go away for a while.
go run off to Europe and or the UK and
I'm sorry, that was the UK. Be very careful with the whole Brexit. You're going to piss people off.
That's true.
Oh, lemonade is like Sprite or something. Gotcha, okay.
How was the show overall?
The show was great. I was talking about it a little bit earlier. It feels a lot like Gen Con.
Yeah, it's their Gen Con kind of.
Yeah,
Big
it
board
has.
game, general gaming.
Yeah. So you get a pretty large variety of people. It's like Gen Con if it weren't as crazy, right? You go to Gen Con, it's like you can't be around the hall for very long because you're just so much.
Well, it's
right?
less than half the amount of people. So.
Right, exactly. So it had a really nice vibe to it. Very, very, not as many new people to painting. Definitely some for sure. Lots of people who knew who we were and loved our stuff. Lots of people who, as you might imagine, were using Games Workshop paints.
What? Citadel in the UK?
Yeah, it's almost like, it's local or something. So we got a lot of people converted over
Awesome.
to the awesomeness of Procryl.
Would you like to try real paint?
I did actually say that to somebody. Not in so many words, but yes. Sort of like that. Yeah, and the people were very, very nice. Which was pleasant. Captain Mannerings and Teeny Tiny Victories were amazing. They were there, said hello to me quite often throughout the weekend. But yeah, it's interesting because the actual venue is about the same size as Gen Con, minus all of the like little hallways and like little rooms and stuff.
Uh-huh.
The actual like vending space and gaming space is about the same. The downside though, the walk back to the car, pretty long.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You take the trip from Gen Con, you add on a little bit.
It's funny because they don't have parking over there like we do here.
Yeah.
Even when they build big buildings. Like, even their soccer stadiums don't have good parking.
It was, it had a very large parking lot. It was just very far away from the convention space. Yeah. Oh, happy birthday, Wad Potato.
I say
Tomato, automaton.
If you saw how far down the list of importance I ranked,
Look, I'm a little out of it. All right, bear with me a little bit here. We're just catching up, okay? You know I got love in my heart for the Wadtomaton.
Jordan, were you here when we got the cease and desist from GW?
I did. How did
Okay.
that go? I know you.
No,
sent
we
the
haven't heard
response.
anything.
oh,
We haven't
they
heard
they
anything.
ghosted us
Oh.
afterwards. I'm
Oh,
sure
okay.
that after they got my response, they were like, "Oops."
Whoops.
Well.
They want people to attend by public transportation. Parking is not the focus, and traffic jam is calculated.
Well, unfortunately,
Buses to the car parks.
if you're vending, there's less of that. We just had to walk a very, very long distance.
How long was the flight, and how many transfers did you do?
Let's see here. So over, it was up at 3 a.m. or in my case, don't go to sleep and go
That's
to the
better
airport.
anyway, because then you're tired on the plane.
It was rough. I didn't sleep for like 50 hours.
Oh.
That was rough. I did the math and I was like, this probably isn't healthy. I slept a little bit on the flight, but anyways, it was a 4-hour flight to Charlotte, couple-hour layover in Charlotte, and then a 6.5-hour flight to Dublin. About an hour and a half layover in Dublin.
I can say that you said your flight here left at like 6 in the morning ish that
Flight
day.
back.
No,
Oh.
going there.
Yeah.
And then just because he was updating us throughout, and when he finally landed at his final destination, it was like midnight.
Yeah.
That's when the message
Yeah.
came through.
Yeah.
Because I was doing that in my head, like, all right, he left at like 6, and now it's midnight, and he
Yeah.
just says he got here. So
That's
yeah, the whole
18
day.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
18 hours of flying. And then the trip back sucked. The Birmingham airport is a nightmare. That whole place is terribly organized and terribly marked, by the way. I'm glad that I've done it once so that if we ever do it again, I can tell us where to go. Because I definitely went in the wrong line at first because it's not well marked.
Solitaire, he was at the UK Games Expo. Just
Mhm.
got back.
Yeah, my flight back from Dublin to Dallas was 8.5 hours.
Really quick, for those of you who weren't here yesterday when we talked about it, we just go to warhammerpaint.com just see what happens.
Oh,
It was
that's
that.
funny. That's so funny.
So fun fact, I returned to work from TMX on Tuesday at 9 a.m. I am finally able to access my account again about 20 minutes ago. Oh, so from yesterday morning until now, you haven't been able to do any work? That's crazy. Birmingham, Alabama, Philip?
Nope. Definitely don't want to go to Birmingham, Alabama. That's not. That
No,
doesn't
they
get me
haven't.
going in the
They
morning.
haven't replied to us. We assume that they won't because we're like, yeah, we don't have anything to do with that. And if you had just Googled who owns that website, you would see that it's not us.
Mm-mm.
So.
Which they definitely didn't do. Yeah, NEC is bad. I mean, it's a nice venue. It's just it's far away from the parking lot. It's a bummer. Nice that it has like restaurants inside. I kept on walking past the subway all the time, and it just like had the fresh smell of baked
Oh,
bread constantly.
Subway sandwiches?
Yeah.
There's no reason. No, there's nothing wrong with Birmingham, Alabama. It's actually very nice. I've been there, and there's a lot of interesting history there, but it's not Birmingham, England.
Those two things are not the same.
But yeah, if you're interested in American history and the American civil rights, Birmingham, Alabama has all kinds of stuff.
American civil rights.
I just said it, Extrian. I gave you the whole lowdown in like 30 seconds. It's not that big of a deal. Go to warhammerpaint.com.
Did you and chat do anything fun on your birthday, Jason?
we gave all your stuff away.
That,
So what's missing?
can I has it back?
No. Not unless you can tell us what's missing.
There was a question.
I don't know. I'll probably
Here
realize
we
it
go.
later.
From Sapo, Jason, if you do the glaze technique you demonstrated, would the amount of water on your brush change if you use a sable?
If I use what?
A sable
No.
brush instead of
Uh-uh.
synthetic.
Well, I mean, technically, yeah, but not like actively in my head. You adjust the water on the brush based on the brush you're painting with, generally, right? Size dictates a lot of that. So if I'm using a number 3 versus a number 1, you know, the number 3 is going to hold a whole lot more water. So you've got to pay a little closer attention to that. But by and large, no, you don't have to think of it sable to synthetic any differently. A good synthetic will draw and release paint just like a sable, so you can just use this, you know, in your head. Like if I'm doing water on the brush, 2 swipes on the paper towel with a synthetic, I would start there with a sable as well. But as always, that's up to the brush itself and your feel with it.
It wasn't an unreasonable assumption that the website referring people to your store would be owned by you, but they also should have thought nerds do things differently. Yeah, but it's very easy to see who owns a domain. So they clearly
just
did not-
laziness.
that they didn't even make any kind of an effort to figure that out.
Laziness. I agree on the assumption,
Yeah.
but as an attorney, you can't work on assumptions.
That's
I mean,
true.
you can.
Not gonna be a very good attorney though.
Not going to be a very good attorney. You might be a rich one, because if you're charging by the hour, working on assumptions seems to be the way to go. Because then you got to charge for the assumption, and then charge to go and research when you're told your assumption was wrong. I almost put in the email response that, you know, here's our bill
Here's our bill.
for the time it took you to teach you about who is.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Sapo said I was using my new Pro Sable number 3 and struggled. LOL, I'll get it eventually.
Well, when you say you're struggling, give me an idea of what the struggle is. Where are you finding yourself? Is it that you have too much moisture? Not enough moisture? What's the paint looking like? Give us some more details, because, you know, a question like, hey, should I add more or less water to the thing has a lot of variables. What color are you using? Glazing is very much a feel process. It's not something that I can tell you quickly, here's how much you mix, here's how you apply it, masterfully done, GG.
Flight Sim Race Sim 88 said I'm having problems with brush strokes. Is the way to minimizing brush strokes to brush in one motion?
When you say brushstroke, like texture on the model, is that what you mean? Like you can see the brush direction in the dried paint?
Sapo has too much moisture. It was separating on the tile using Pro Acryl Mahogany.
Well, so you shouldn't be thinning the paint on the palette. You should be thinning the paint on the brush. Does that make sense? The paint on the palette, you want it to be as close to straight out of the bottle as possible at all times, so that you can thin it as you need, because your need for thinning is going to change as you layer, right? Your first layer is generally the thinnest, and as you work up, your layers get more and more opaque. In general. You might paint in a different way, but if you're at the point where you have thought that much about your process, you probably aren't having issues, right? Doing the grab and pull method. Okay. So there's still a droplet of paint on the tile that's working fine, and you're saying that the paint you're drawing out into a watery puddle on the tile is starting to separate? Paint Liquor, you are incorrect.
Yeah, Captain Mannerings, no, you may not.
X-Ray and your wife would have killed you. Let's go and do this. All right, let me move this out of the way.
Oh, well, hopefully you weren't able to buy that one today because that one is
Sold out.
definitely out of stock.
Sold
Let me
out.
double check it. Make sure.
All right. Let's give ourselves a little bit of space to work over here. And I'm using a number 3 synthetic. Okay. What color were you using, Sapo? Lord, thank you. It's just a real basic kind of Grey Death Legion beginning paint scheme. I haven't decided what I'm going to do for weathering yet, so I'm just working on the gray and the red. Plank, what's going on? Mahogany? Okay.
I mean, we have USPS
Mahogany.
division ring.
So if you're glazing mahogany, I'm assuming you're doing shadows. Yes? Am I correct? Are you doing flesh? Give me an understanding of what you're trying to do so I can get a feel for how I want to thin this.
In Flight, we'll, there was another question that popped in, so he's kind of working on 2 right now. We'll get back to yours and then the brush strokes in just a second.
You were glazing shadows over warm brown. Let's see if I have anything close. What this guy? Warm brown leather backpack, right? A little bit darker, but I was using warm brown, I believe, on that. All right, let's do this little pouch here. That's definitely warm brown in that belt. Okay. So if I go, and here's my brush loaded with water out of the jar, right, out of the cup. I haven't taken any water off of it yet. And then I'll come over here. Well, since we're glazing, I'm not going to take any water off, right? So just loaded with however much water comes out of the cup. Then I'm going to just touch to the edge of the pool, pull it out. And there I've got however much water was on my brush in the paint. Right? I can tell just because I've done it so long, if I feel like I want more pigment, I grab a little bit more and pull it down. But all of my thinning is happening right here in this spot, not on the droplet itself. Okay. Then I come over here and I remove most of the material on my thumb palette. Okay. Then I come up here and I start doing a really thin light glaze. And I can tell very quickly that, you know, whether I'm getting enough coloring for the way I'm wanting to do it or not.
X-ray, and if you refresh the
Create a little
page, you'll
shadow
see
of
that
his
it's actually
arm
out of
on the
stock.
top of that pouch. And I'll go and re-wet my brush, pull out a little bit more. I'm going to go a little bit heavier with the pigment. Do it again. And just keep layering like that. Further and further into my shadows as I go.
When you saw it available, that's because I made an error when I adjusted things. Ryan Wallace, it's my understanding that you can only use the colors that are listed
Plus black and white.
and black and white. So that would mean no washes.
You can make washes though.
Glaze, yeah, that's what he said. Can we use the washes, or will I have to make my own with glaze and wash medium?
Yeah, you have to make
Make
your own out of those colors.
They gave you guys a tough one.
You can see how
No
that
black
shadow
wash,
is
no
starting to
washes.
appear in there
Gotta make
after
'em.
just 2 swipes, right? You can see the shadow of the arm underneath. And then what I mean as you glaze is the first one was super thin, the second one was less thin. On the third one, I'm wiping twice on my napkin, and basically now I'm looking at paint that is less of a glaze, right? And more of just my standard layering paint. And I'm going into the areas where I want it the darkest. This keeps me from having to layer like, 15 different times by upping the opacity of the paint as I get the paint placed. Because the most difficult part of the glaze process is defining where you want the color and making it blend with the color underneath it, right? So you don't want to start with it being very opaque, but you can see how very quickly now I've created shadow on the belt. Really easy in 3 coats, right? And on the pouch. Right? So I've set up for a really nice subtle shadow on those. Less so subtle as we move over to the darker side of the belt and the side of this pouch over here. Right? Start really thin. That way, that first layer, as you're saying, I think I want my shadow to be right in this, nook in here where the belt has a crease to it. You do that pretty thin, you get it located the way you want, and you're guaranteed, because of the thinness of the paint, that it blends with the base coat really well. Then you start thinning less and less as you push less and less paint into the darker crevices, since we're shading, or to the brighter areas if we were highlighting, right? And that then defines the opacity and what you were looking to do there. So the big issues anytime I'm glazing is, number one, I rinse the brush and then I don't wipe it on anything. It has a crap ton of water in it, right? Just straight out of the cup. This would leave, droplets of water on my hand because it's holding so much water in the brush. So without wiping it on anything, come over to your droplet, pull that tail out. That's now super watery. You can see the pigment starting to pull together, right? As the amount of water in there, the surface tension of water wants to draw together into beads. That's what water does. So it's starting to pull into a couple of different pools here, right? You can blend that back together as you need. And then I'll just continue to touch the tip of the brush into the paint to pull more pigment down if I need to. You can still see it's very watery. You can see the pigment kind of moving and pulling around on the wax surface of the wax paper that I'm painting on here as a palette. Then step number 3, I guess, right, is to come over and get most of the material off on something else. I don't like using a paper towel because I feel like it takes too much pigment off quickly, so I use my thumb, right? And again, then you just come over and paint that onto your model wherever you want. Back over here. And now I'm not chasing a big droplet of moisture around. It's evenly wetting the surface with paint, because the fear when you do a glaze is you've got so much water in there that it starts to beat up on the surface or gives you one big droplet that you have to chase around, which is never fun. What are you going to do with that? You're trying to put paint in a very specific area, and so you don't want to have to worry about a big blob of paint in a very watery form, having to figure out what to do with that, because moving it around on the model is going to be really tough.
What if I don't have your thumb handy when I paint?
Well, I don't come cheap.
He does
But I
sell
can
his
be
thumbs,
hired.
though.
A decent meal, comfortable bed.
Instructions unclear. Have an unknown person's thumb on my desk. My desk now.
Right? And so now we've started building up shadow on all this stuff, and you can get as aggressive with it or as timid with it as you want. That I really like, that little mahogany spot starts pulling the red out of the mahogany real quick because of how light the bag was right there. So that worked in like one stripe. I wouldn't have to go back over that too much. They just play visually, just watch it. When is it becoming the color you want? Versus, am I going to get too dark now? Like I would go here on the belt, I would come back over, I would wipe my brush off on my paper towel a couple times, and I would grab the paint in pretty much the way I would paint with it normally. Right now, it's not much of a glaze at all. I'd still wipe it off on my thumb palette, and then I'd come over here and very lightly do this at what we refer to as full volume, full vibrancy, even for a dark color, and pull that line right up along that top edge, right? So now my glaze blends into that deepest section where you can imagine the lip of the belt, kind of rippling over from being bent at the top. Maybe I run it right down the edge of the doohickeys on the belt there. And that generates a very dark shadow. And that might prevent me from having to go to a darker color to glaze the shadows in. Now I've created a really good amount of dimension here, so it looks like that's concave, right? That dark line up before the top, and then a dark line down along the side of the coin or medallion here on his belt. And we've done all that in 4 layers? That happens pretty quick once you get used to it. It's just dialing in. But the biggest key to that is the way you add moisture and pull it away from the paint. So I still have 100% paint, or as close to out of the bottle as I get, so I can constantly get back to my glaze mix rather than trying to add a bunch of water to my droplet. And now I don't have the root paint to work with, so I can always pull more pigment down here as needed as I see it on the model. I haven't diluted this at all. So that's the first major thing. And the second major thing is get rid of most of the material off of your brush so that you're not, when you go to touch the model, you're not wiping a big old dramatic blob of paint on it. So, hope that helps.
Polygon, that sounds fun. Is there a local game store that's gonna be there selling our products? Because we're not attending any festivals this weekend. I'm assuming that there's a store.
That's awesome, Polygon.
Yeah.
Great name, by the way.
And then let me go back and find that one about the. Oh, here we go. Have texture marks. I can see the brush direction.
Okay, so on the brush direction stuff, that's generally done one of two things. Not thin enough, too thin, right? And generally more towards the not thin enough. So when we're painting, mahogany is a bad example, right? Because if I've got a model here, like this guy. Let's get a thicker paint, like one of the heavy-bodied ones, like heavy-bodied white or something, right? You have one of the heavies over there?
Yeah. Do you want the titanium or do you want the...
A warm would be good. Awesome, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm going to use one of our heavy paints. It's a little thicker, just to get the point across. Not all paints are going to act like this right out of the bottle. I'm just going to do it to show you in a dramatic sense how to avoid what you're seeing as far as paint texturing. So I'll put a little paint out on the palette. Our heavy paints are in between a paste acrylic and a liquid acrylic, okay? So if I take my brush and I pretty much dry it off on the paper towel to where there's very little moisture in it at all. See, it only has a little bit of sheen, right? I've dried it out. There's very little wetness. You're not going to see it put water on my skin here. And then I go over to the paint like you would think you would, right? And then I start putting the paint on the model. This could start giving me stuff like that, right? You see how I'm seeing the ridge? You can see that ridge right there and that ridge right there. Because as you put pressure with the brush, it squeegees the paint out to the edges of the bristles. So you can go back and feather that a little bit, right? And rework it into the model. Where I get rid of all that. Or, what's better, right? Because by doing that, I've kind of overworked the paint now. See if we can...
In Cannibalistic, yeah, Jason said that too. He said that it's potentially there are two potential things that could cause it. One would be too much paint, and one is not enough paint. Or too thick, too thin, whatever.
Using a bright color like this, it's going to be hard, but you can see the kind of cloudiness of it. It has a little bit of texture to it, right? But if I were to just go in and leave a little bit more moisture on my brush, right? So now you'll see that the brush is a lot shinier. If I can get the light on it right, like that, has a lot more wetness in it, and you see how it's leaving wetness on my hand now? You see the moisture build up as I put brush strokes on my hand. If I do that, now I go over to the paint. Will it thin the paint a little bit? Sure, because I have a little bit of water on the brush, but that's okay. It's better to do 2 layers of paint, but have them be smooth than try to get 1 layer on, right? And I'll just do the same thing we did. I'll just put on big, chunky layers. But this time I'm not going to have to work it back into the model because no matter how hard I press here, I'm bending the brush pretty aggressively, right? I'm not getting any brush strokes. I might see visual where the pigment goes, but it won't give me any texture. That is very smooth, right? If you look at the reflection on there, that's very smooth, as opposed to this side that you can see I still have a big line there and there where those initial brush strokes kind of left me with that. So this has more opacity because I didn't thin it as much. This is thinner but doesn't have that same texture to it. So this is the way we tend to paint thinner, right? Let that coat dry and then do it again with a second coat over the top. That's why you'll hear people talk about, you know, putting on multiple thin coats, right, as opposed to one big thick one. It may seem, right, like painting with 1 coat makes more sense. This is not going to be dry, so this may tear, but just to give you an idea, yeah, it's not dry enough to, just going to replace paint on it. It's not really going to add opacity here. A little bit, right? But you see there, my second coat keeps it really smooth, but now I get the opacity I'm looking for, right? So in 2 coats, I'm now more opaque than over here, but now I'm super smooth. See that reflection? That reflection makes it look like glass. See that vertical line there as I rotate it around the model? No texture there at all. And I'm building up opacity. So, you know, 2 or 3 coats there, and I'm going to get better opacity than over here, but I'm going to avoid the chunkiness of trying to do it in 1 coat, right? I can fix this by layering over it, but now maybe I have obscured details, things like that. So, again, a more dramatic way of showing you, but you can see how I picked up opacity with the second layer over the first, but I keep that smoothness going. So that's what you'll see us doing all the time when we're painting. And typically we don't paint a super bright color over black, but for the dramatic effect that it gives, it made sense.
Thanks so much. You explained it perfectly.
Awesome.
There's some good questions up in here.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't
We got
see
one.
them
How
anymore.
to use metallic medium.
Was there any before that? I want to do them in order if we can.
Yeah.
So I've got metallic medium I'll go over.
There's one for matte varnish. Asking about ETA from Goopster.
Probably mid-July for matte varnish.
Very exciting. I'm excited for.
We got it approved, so now it's just waiting for final production. Bottling.
When moving to paint a larger scale miniature, what is the biggest change in mindset that needs to happen? I've only painted Battletech for years, getting ready to paint Maniac's Witch.
That's a great question. You know, whenever we do busts or, you know, larger creatures, right? You could look at this. This is a larger scale model. His is what, a 75? Did you get the 75 millimeter one? So, you know, something like this or the bust of the dwarf that I just showed you is really no different in painting. The thing that it will provide you with is larger areas for each item on the model, right? So, like, the model's eyes will be bigger than the models that you've painted in the past if you've just done Battletech size models. Or it will have eyes, and you haven't painted eyes if you've done Battletech, right? So it may present you with features that you haven't had to worry about, like fingernails. You know, on a normal 25 millimeter, 30 millimeter model, you're not necessarily worried about fingernails because they aren't sculpted on there most of the time, right? It's just fingers. You know, you'll have to have each hair in the beard you will go in and highlight. So it's just a little bit more detail work because the area is larger, right? If it's just on a larger scale model, right, then it's just going to be bigger details. You know, the arm is as big as a normal miniature kind of a thing. So again, more space. So texture means a lot. You're going to be forced with situations where you're having to put paint on big areas with no details. You know, in smaller miniatures, we rely on the fact that, you know, when painting Battletech, the areas are very small and broken up by lots of panels. So while it may take me a long time to highlight all the panels, each one of them in itself is very small. I could paint each panel individually and not have to feel like, oh God, how am I going to make this paint really smooth blend over this whole helmet, right? So the larger it gets, you might find yourself migrating towards wanting to learn to airbrush if you don't know how already, because airbrushing can apply blended base coats much easier on large surfaces, especially good for vehicles. But you can imagine like things like this helmet, right? I'm wet blending on the helmet to get the helmet done, so it takes maybe a little bit more advanced technique so that you can get softer blends and not have all your brush strokes show over a bigger area. So you have to take those kinds of things into effect. But other than that, I attack it the same way. So when I'm painting a larger surface, just like with the mech that I'm painting, I pull the mech and I'm like, okay, I'm going to paint the red trim. And so I section off the trim and paint each trim piece as if it's its own shape, and I don't worry about much else than that little piece. Same thing here. Here I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to paint this little part of his beard, right? And so this little section of his beard with the cuff on it is going to be just like one of those panels on a mech. I try to section it down to where it's this half of the mustache. I don't worry about the whole mustache. I just do this half. So it still remains small pieces of a bigger composition, but I can focus in and worry about the detailing there and then move on. It may look a little funnier because I was doing half of a mustache. It looks weird. But that's the way my brain works, is I section it down to, maybe I'll paint each finger as its own thing as opposed to painting all the fingers together like I would on a smaller miniature. Make sense?
Polygon, we currently have gloss varnish available, and we will be releasing our matte varnish soon. Salthorn said, when wondering why did you do some paints with a satin finish?
Those are signature set paints, and that's because the artists who are the signature artists for those paints enjoy a satin finish. So we did that with Matt and Ben specifically, because they really like to paint with a satin finish. So we thought it'd be fun to do that. And we already knew we were doing satin black. We've had that on the back burner for years. We didn't have the right time to release it. And so doing the satin colors with them really let us test our format in a more satin finish, because the Pro-Acryl formula is built and balanced around the matte level that we use in all of our normal colors. And so to get it to act like Pro-Acryl, feel like Pro-Acryl, and be as enjoyable to paint with, but with a satin finish, we had to go back to the drawing board and kind of not really start over, but we had to see how the formula would hold up in a satin environment. And it worked great. And we even have gloss.
Meow Ray said, this isn't a question but a comment. I bought the Go Bag Evo and been filling it out with Monument. I'm up to 60 Monument paints. It's the best purchase ever. I finally get
Awesome.
the hobby
Nice.
anywhere.
Awesome.
Yay! Love that.
Okay, metallic medium time.
Yeah.
That was the next question. So I have metallic medium. I have a new bottle of metallic medium.
Matt enjoys the satin finish. Sounds fishy.
Brand spanking new.
The gloss level of paint will obviously reflect more of the light in the room. I personally am a fan of very matte paint so that the only reflection you get is minimal and not shiny, so that as I'm working up my highlights, like I can see all the highlights even in the bright studio light on this mech. We can see all the edge highlights, because as I rotate him, the way the light is so diffused on him doesn't really, I don't get a huge stark reflection. Whereas if I'm looking at metallics are one thing, metallics have more gloss to them. So as I look around metallic, the light in the room brightens it up. So maybe I wouldn't be able to tell if I had highlighted that edge because the room light is making it too bright. So glossy surfaces like that make it harder to work with while you're painting and doing all of your detail work. They work really well if you're painting really fast and you want the light in the room to take the place of highlights you didn't really paint. So that's one way to look at it. They're also great for effects.
Deadbeat,
They're great for highlighting.
You don't want to know how much he owes us.
Who owes
What's
who?
this?
Matt Varnish, that guy owes me $20. He said you don't want to know how much he owes us.
He owes us a lot more.
He owes us a lot.
All right, so the metallic medium, the question was fairly general. How do you use it?
Yeah.
So I can't give you a blanket use because it has a ton of uses, but I'm going to start with some of the simple ones, right? Let's grab another model and let's play around with Spezmarines again. Let's go in with some dark silver. one of the first things that I can do with it is that let's just do the gun here. Right, if I just take our dark silver, it's a nice, lush, deep metallic color. Somebody the other day was asking, like, do I do anything different for using metallic? I'm using the same brush I was just painting with, so I don't really care. I do want to make sure I don't leave metallic paint in whatever brush I use. I tend to stay away from using sable brushes when painting with metallics, but I think Jordan uses his sable.
I do.
He didn't care.
I don't care.
The brush doesn't really care. It's just I know that I don't trust myself cleaning the brush very well, and I don't want to have it gum up a expensive sable. So we'll just base coat one side of this gun here so you can get a drift of what I'm talking about on this.
While you're doing that, a follow up to the satin or satin, right? Question about why do you
Satin,
make
yep.
satin ones. Valthorn said, I don't know about nicer to paint with. I'm still struggling to get it to transition properly. It's not as bad as I was the first week. So
Trying to get it to transition properly for what?
I don't know.
Nicer to paint with. I'm still struggling to get it to transition. Just not as bad.
Probably like smooth transitions is, I think, what they're
For
trying to
satins in particular? Jen does like clean
I
brushes.
do.
Okay, so one great thing that you can do with a metallic medium is use it as a highlight for other metallics. It acts as a tint base, if you will. I'm going to jump back over here to my palette. And so I've got the metallic medium and the dark silver. So I can take the metallic medium, and by itself, it has a little bit of a sheen to it. It's not quite a white metallic because it's very see-through, as you can see, right? But it does have a brightness to it, almost like a transparent platinum, if you will. But I can take that and mix it into my dark silver. Let's say I didn't want to jump to silver over the top of this. I just wanted a little bit more brightness. Then I can take the metallic medium and mix it in, and all of a sudden I've got a nice medium silver that doesn't put me at the intensity of our normal silver.
AC Miniatures with the raid.
Aaron!
What's going on, Aaron?
Hello!
Right? So I can get a little bit of a highlight starting to build up on the dark silver just by mixing a touch of the metallic medium in there with it, right? So it's a dream in that regard, because there's no good way to blend your metallics generally with opaque colors without lowering the metallic sheen. This actually bumps the metallic sheen up to like ungodly proportions and gives you that shine, but also lets you create a highlight for your metals real quick.
Welcome in, everyone. For those of you who are just joining us, Jason is currently doing a demonstration of metallic medium,
Grab a little bit bigger brush here.
which is one of the pro acryl paints that we make.
I'll grab some of the metallic medium and we'll paint my thumbnail. So one cool thing that you can do with the metallic medium is paint it over a surface to get a cool metallic reflection. Right. So you can treat it almost like a glaze that gives you that metallic. If I thin it down, I put it over the red. It's already on my thumb palette here. You'll see that it lets because it's semi-transparent, it lets the color show through, but now I've got that shine of the metal flake. And it has so much metal flake in it that it'll look good even when you thin it down. Okay?
AC Miniature said medium as a final highlight on silver is chef's kiss.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just showing, is using it as a highlight or a mixer for all of your metallics, because it doesn't really have, it's a very neutral base. It's not quite a white, right? But it does brighten things up. But you can put it into golds and brighten golds up. You can put it into coppers and brighten copper up. You can put it into any of the metallics and get a brighter version of bronze. Use it as a white metallic, so to speak, and use it as a tint base. Let's grab a little bit of, somebody mentioned red metallics. I'll grab red metallic.
Jam Jam 786, hello, welcome. Yes, we are here
Actually,
Monday
we
through
just did it
Friday
over red, so let's do something else. Let's do green.
at this very time. Every day.
Transparent green.
Glad you found us.
I'll take
Happy
a little
Baby
bit,
J Day.
a little bit of the
Baby J's
transparent.
back.
Thank you, Fido.
I've been Aaron.
I happened to see that guy at UK Games Expo.
Oh God, and how did that go?
It was great. It's Aaron.
How did that go?
Aaron's great.
Right. So I take that and I'll get rid of most of that, but then I can glaze over the top of it once I put it on my model, right? And I can start to get whatever color metallic I want. Right. So just like any of the other metallic, I'm going to tear it because I didn't let it dry.
I always have this problem when I'm doing demos like this.
Well, you're working too fast.
Yeah.
But I can also
That's
take
what
the
I
transparent green, and down here, I can just mix it right into the metallic. This is the way I would choose to do all of my metallic coloring, right? Transparent green straight into the metallic medium, and now you've turned any color into a metallic color, which is great for painting, you know, Iron Man and whatever else, right? You are doing Thousand Suns. You can imagine creating your own metallic base color so you don't have to worry about finding the right one. That's going to have a tremendous metallic sheen to it, and I can just make whatever color I want. The transparents are the best to use for this because they already start with a lower opacity and a supreme amount of pigment. So putting them in with that is going to give you a big punch of color, but not take away the shine as much as using an opaque color. You can mix the metallic medium with any of our paints and create a metallic look. So let's take, what else do I have out on the palette right now that's wet? Nothing. Let's grab a color here. Let's grab something fun.
Yeah.
Let's grab something fun. Let's grab Wizard's Butt. The OG Wizard's Butt. Banana yellow.
Looks cute. Do the rest. Some days he does. He's had all different colors.
Oh yeah. I've painted my fingernails quite a few times. Always showing off metallic medium.
Yes.
That
Or
is
the metallics and the transparents.
very true.
Yeah.
So we can take, this is an opaque paint, right? The Wizard's Butt is like our normal Pro Acryl, but I'll take it and mix it in with metallic medium. Same thing, just is I use a lot of the medium. Oh, I got a little bit of green in there, so that's gonna be crazy. And then we can just paint with that. And I'll compare and contrast the amount of shine it has when it dries versus this. The transparents look like a metallic, like it was meant to be. The opaques will still have the metallic sheen, but the opaque paint's going to overtake it a little bit. So you see it won't be quite as vibrant. It's still metallic.
To fill my water, come back to see Jason doing his nails.
Right.
What an awesome stream.
But not this much. So the transparent is the way to go, and with the 9 transparent colors, you can mix whatever you want. Mix any color under the sun with the transparents, and then put metallic medium in it, and you've got a fantastic metallic paint. I mean, that's not bad though. That sheen on the yellow is still good.
Yeah.
That would still work really well for like an Iron Man or something like that.
Yeah, where I said
But that's really going to jump it off the page.
I've been intimidated to use the metallic medium because I thought it was like Citadel's Lamian medium. Hold on. And
You're back on screen, Jordan. Oh yeah.
or just
Zoom
any
out some.
matte varnish across other companies. I didn't know metallic medium could be used like this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we made it for, was to be able to
super
let
cool.
other things, you know, create your own metallics, because it was never my goal to make, you know, 50 metallic colors. Because a lot of times the color I want for my metallic paints is one of the colors I already have in front of me. I just wish it was metallic, so hence metallic medium was just the right way to go. But other people who have metallic mediums, they don't really work as well because they don't have the intensity of the pigmentation or the flake that ours does. It's overwhelming. It's the most expensive paint we make. I think orange may be close.
Orange?
Yeah, Pyrrole orange is one of the most expensive pigments on the planet.
Wizard's Butt won't ever be a color in the main line. It's always just going to be a special random thing.
The next one is this one.
The next one is very good.
Wizard's Butt. You never know what color a butt is. Especially not a wizard's.
Will you be making a hollow taco? I think you guys told me about that. I'm obsessed with I haven't gotten any yet, but their colors are really cool.
What's that?
It's nail polish.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hollow Taco is the name of this nail polish brand.
Valthorn, a
That's
branded paint rack. We stopped making them. We had Monument ones
Yeah.
for years. They weren't big sellers,
Nope.
believe it or not. And they sold okay, but the hassle to get them produced, and it's one of the few products we just kind of, I refuse to bring lasers into the building and do them ourselves. Because it's the messiest process, which is why it's hard to get them made. Because everybody else realizes this too. The people who own dozens of lasers and are cutting MDF wood at any volume already know that it's not a really
I think he
easily
wants
sustainable
lasers.
deal. So
He just doesn't want lasers.
what's that?
I said I think he wants lasers.
I want a death laser.
Crypt Shadow's like, you
Yeah,
don't
there
want
is a
lasers?
particular laser that we would like to have.
I want a
around
death
here.
ray machine. I don't want a. I
Where-
don't want a wood cutting laser.
The, all
Where are
the,
we at on that?
Whenever we would get the MDF racks, the smell, I couldn't do it.
Formaldehyde burned.
The burn, yeah. And then the way, it just makes me cringe just thinking about touching those things too. Ugh.
They got better over time. The initial ones were really gritty. They had all the soot from the lasers.
I'm so sensitive on my hands. Like, I don't, there's too many things that I don't like to touch. That's right. Mike was supposed to buy you that lens. What happened with that?
Says he's still working on it.
Why doesn't the metallic medium show up on the website with the other mediums?
It's an actual paint in the metallics. We don't sell it in the 120 mil bottles, so it's not a medium that you would use in that sense. The other mediums are paint additives that have other uses. It in itself is a metallic, so you can include it in the metallic paints. We thought long and hard about that, but we could probably move it over into it. It just, it might be tough, though, now that I think about it.
Ghost Hunter said OMG Mike owes us a Fresnel lens. I feel like that guy owes us a lot of stuff and he's just gone.
He doesn't owe us anything.
And where's that Mike guy?
He said that he was leaving since we sent you away.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, solidarity for Jordan. That's the last thing he screamed.
Jam Jam,
Solidarity
yes.
for Baby J.
Our metallic medium
mm.
will help make normal paints into metallics. Yes. A couple different ways to do
That's
it.
what we just did.
Yep.
So we turned Wizard's butt into a
No, yeah,
metallic
you
on this
see-
one and our transparents.
And the question is, do I understand that properly?
Yep.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I mean, our transparent green into a metallic right there. Bam. And that's super metallic. With a transparent, super metallic,
Yeah.
right? And with the opaque colors, it still gives a really good sheen, but it's not quite as like metallic forward. So a nice way to get a very muted. But which, like I said, I think that for the golds on Iron Man, that would be perfect. Because it's still very shiny.
Yeah, the Corona's looking really, really good.
But this
The
is
glow.
over the top.
I will never buy a mini again, cried OMG Mike.
Yeah. And then he stormed out, threw a fit, stormed
Slammed the
out,
door.
left.
Yes, Victor is correct. It's also a great final highlight on metallics.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, AC Miniatures. Aaron was just in here saying the same thing. It's a great final highlight. That's where we started, was showing that you can mix it with the metallics to make a highlight. This was dark silver, and then dark silver mixed with the metallic medium gives you that bright shine across the top of those areas there.
No, you cannot use metallic medium for the challenge. I just said that. I don't know if that's true, but
No.
well, Jen said
Well,
it.
I mean, technically, yes, I guess. Because we always say you can use various mediums that you
Yeah.
want. You know, you can turn your colors into a wash with the glazed wash medium. You could turn one of those colors, as long as it's one of the 4 colors, into a metallic using it. What mix ratio would you use for the metallic medium? It really just depends. I go heavy with the metallic medium and as a start, and then add pigment back to it to get the color where I want, is generally how I go. Because if I'm doing it, I'm generally looking for it to be metallic more so than anything. So I go heavy, 5-1, 3-1, something like that. But you can start 50-50 and see how it works. With the transparents, it's more 50-50. But the transparent needs to be diluted. Remember that with our transparent paints, you always want to dilute them with quite a bit of water, because they are super punchy. If I take that same green that I just did and mix it with metallic medium, let me show you if I don't use any water with the green. I didn't do it, Jordan.
Found it.
You were looking like
I'm like,
something
where
has disappeared.
is that paint that I'm looking for?
So I'm going to do this. I'm just going to go. So here's the transparent green up here that's not diluted. I diluted a bunch down here. But if I just grab this, right, and mix it in with some metallic medium, right, we'll see how different this looks right over the top of that. Like instantaneously much darker. So while the metallic medium will tint it a little bit, the transparents have got a ton of pigment in them. Right? Like you could put that over the yellow over here and get a cool effect probably. Well, that's a neat color. Yeah, it's a great tool to just play around with. All of our mediums are made to make painting fun. They're great additives. Some of them are fairly straightforward, like the glaze wash medium, but it can be used for so much more than its namesake. And then there's Noosh, which nobody knows what to do with, but they do lots of stuff with it.
Yeah.
We sell more Noosh than damn near anything other than titanium white.
I know, it's insane. We can't keep it in stock. You guys keep buying.
Shelby when I need her? Discord.
Over there using banana butt for base color. Yeah, I used banana butt for base with transparent green metallic over the top, and that's actually pretty cool. Very different from just the transparent green.
You know what else is
on its
really
own.
really cool is doing rich gold with 50-50 transparent green and transparent blue on top
Green
of
and
it.
orange?
Yeah,
Did you say?
bronze is even better.
Did you say
I haven't done it with
transparent?
the bronze, but
Bronze
I did
is
it with
even better.
the rich
Bronze
gold.
and blue is
you
amazing.
say
It gives you like a
transparent green and
really
transparent
deep,
orange?
like
Blue.
verdigris
Oh.
green metallic.
I
You
was
can
like,
play around with it.
green
and
and
have all sorts of fun.
orange. What would
That'd be
that make?
weird. It makes like a
Brown?
no, it makes like camo green.
I have to steal the mouse.
I did get a lot of questions about Noosh.
Noir picked up a bottle of Noosh and have yet to even open it. Well, change that.
Oh,
It's
I
great.
did in fact get a lot of Noosh questions, and we sold a good amount of it. People snapped it up. Was
Okay,
this-
yeah. So the Gray Death Legion is literally just a background of
Red with a skull on it.
red with a skull on it. It's like not even.
Fido, it does not. Stop telling stories. When you do the removing step with Noosh, what do you like to remove with? I really don't want to go with disposable plastics that I need to throw out.
T-shirt sleeve.
Yeah.
Got an old T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Nice soft cotton T-shirt. 100% cotton T-shirt. Don't use polyester.
You can use your
Stretchy
hands
shirts.
too. You can use your fingers. You don't have to throw those out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Freaking-
the
Freaking
element-
Byron with
Byron
Artis
did.
Opus just loved using
Finger
his fingers. He
painting.
thought his
Yeah.
finger was the best tool. He just
Yeah.
liked removing it. He's a
Yeah.
glutton for punishment, though, that guy.
That guy likes getting his hands.
I
messy
paint on
with
my
things.
thumb, but I'm not really interested in getting paint all over the pad of my fingers because
You
then
should-
I get it all over everything. I feel
his
like
his hands after every night
It's
night at
like-
the show were
it's
just
like
like
he's
green.
dipped them in paint.
Yeah, he
He's
just
crazy.
doesn't care.
He doesn't care. He's like a Neanderthal when it comes to painting. He gets down and dirty though.
He's
I can
a
respect it.
he's a funny guy.
I can respect it. There.
Extra, do you have something that you can practice on, like a test model or something that you can try it out with if you're a little nervous?
You thinking
Oh,
about
you
doing
know
a Noosh filter on this once it's done?
So I'm thinking. We talked about it yesterday. I feel like that was my goal initially, but we'll see where I get.
Hmm.
I'll probably use a little bit of Noosh for the weathering on the ground, but I'm probably going to do it more specifically, like as streaking, more so than an overall filter. Was
Cool.
my thinking.
I like it. Oh man, adjusting back to the dry air here is always rough couple of days. Whenever I get back from trips,
Drinking a lot of water? I see
I've been
none.
drinking as much as I can.
I see none there right
I don't have any right now, no.
You're not drinking as much as you can.
But yes, well, I guess technically you're not wrong. I am going to the grocery store tonight, and I will be getting some because I do need water. I was hydrating pretty well though. They kept a good stock of water,
Good.
although their bottles of water are really expensive over there.
now. Really?
Yeah, they were like, it was like 12 like half bottles for like £6.
Is that just at like the event center or?
No, that
is
was
there-
at like an actual like grocery store around. And I was like, whoa, I can get 40 16-ounce bottles of water for $5 here in the United States.
Do it. Just try it. It's fun.
Well, that's the tricky thing is I'm so used to drinking tap water in like Seattle because it's just as good as most water.
Really?
It's
That's nice.
the tap water in Seattle is like it's like spring water for the most
Oh,
part. It's just like super
That's
fresh.
nice. Yeah, we don't do that here.
It's all water that comes down from the mountains mostly.
Yeah.
So it's all like melted ice from that.
Because they
we
put
don't-
flavoring in
we
it.
try to
do.
avoid
Freaking
drinking water
hippies.
from the tap in Arizona.
We don't do that here.
It's
You could die.
gross. It's really gross. All right, I gotta figure out. Okay, what was my weird recipe for the skin tone again?
Like a white,
Blue.
like a milky white.
Huh?
Bagamar said, "What color is the tap water?"
Gross.
No, it's clear, but it definitely has things floating in it that you can see with your naked eye.
Floaties.
Yeah, filtered water that you get bottled is much
Yeah.
better.
Keep
I mean,
50
I drink
gallons
the
of
tap
drinking
water. It
and
just
take
goes
no
through a
chances.
filter in our fridge.
Yeah, my Brita filter at home's not great.
Yeah, our fridge has. Sir.
Realistically, it's probably fine, and I'm just like not used to the flavor of the water here yet.
When the faucets all get that crusty, like calcium
Yep.
buildup. Yeah. That's why we don't drink. We've just been in our house for a year, and my shower is starting to do the thing where they're all clogged up and like.
Yep. You gotta move them around.
I sit and like pick the salty stuff off. In Sweden, the tap water is better than bottled. Crazy what good water treatment can do, exactly. Yes, hard water, for sure. Very, very hard. Yeah, well, I have two. So there's the big rain one, and then there's just a regular shower one, and they're both now. They each have little I don't know what to call them, where the water comes out, that the water shoots off sideways.
Oh, I hate it when it does that.
No, I know the vinegar. Yeah, I know. I just haven't done it yet. Like
What's-
I just started noticing that it was an issue.
have the
and I was
awesome
like,
shower
wow,
head where
we've
it's
been here
rubber.
for a year.
So you just take your thumb and you go.
Well,
and,
no,
and it just knocks
yeah,
it
all
off.
and I
straight
do
to the-
that too. But I do need to clean them off because there's so many of them that now are like that.
50-50 water and vinegar for that?
Yeah.
Is that a thing you can
Vinegar
Yep.
gets this. Yeah, it removes the stuff.
Hmm.
Like you can put
Get rid of the
vinegar
lime and the
in a
calcium buildup.
Ziploc bag and like just put a rubber band around it so that the faucet is touching the vinegar and it just dissolves it all. Makes it super easy.
do? Is there like a particular kind of vinegar you want to use?
Just white vinegar.
White
Just white
Distilled, not distilled?
distilled white vinegar.
Vinegar. I don't know.
Great.
Vinegar. Dipolar stream from Seattle. Visited my sister when she was living in Mesa. She double filtered the water from one Brita filter to another, and while clean, it just tasted gross like iron. Yeah, I can't do the
Brita filter itself, carbon filters taste garbage.
The Brita filter, there's something about like the charcoal in it or
Yeah,
something
charcoal.
that
The
makes
carbon.
me.
It's a
it makes
carbon
me
filter,
sick.
so it's horrible. It tastes bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why I don't use mine anymore.
I
I hate
was
the way
having
it
to change
tastes.
them like every 2 weeks just because once they get used up, they were making me feel sick.
Ah,
Oh, Granuva water softener. Yeah, I've never done that. I did have a saltwater pool when I lived in Gilbert, and it didn't work very well.
grand
Water's just
idea.
Too hard. It was a great idea, and they were super trendy for a while. And then after a few years, everyone's like, "Yeah, don't do that. That's not our water. Doesn't work with that."
You can see how I painted the black background first to get the shape right, and then the red inside of it that gives me the black outline, rather than trying to paint the black outline.
Yeah, and here it was even probably even more than that, more than every 2 to 3 months. So Deadbeat, it kind of, from my understanding, and I don't really know, but it was more like a water softener.
Yeah, like whole house water softeners, you got to put a bunch of salt in. You
Yeah.
got to keep like rock salt in the bag.
Weird.
That's what they do for the pool. It's not like going in the ocean.
Yeah, no, and I mean, a very reputable pool company built my pool with this salt system, and it was like a new trendy thing. This is probably, well, I mean, it was way before I met Jason, so probably 15 or more years ago. They were really trendy in Arizona, and then after a few years, they stopped being trendy because people realized that our water just doesn't work.
Our water doesn't work. Our water
For
doesn't
saltwater
water.
pools.
Yeah.
Or saltwater pool filtration. Oh yeah, no, I ended up having to put a whole bunch of chlorine in them in the pool because it just didn't work.
Yeah, they take the salination thing and just turn it off.
Yeah.
Take it out of
Yeah.
line and
Yeah.
don't run it. And then you just use it. My pool in California was the same way. It was set up for salt water, and they
Yeah.
bypassed that with a piece of PVC that went around that part, and then
Yeah.
you just put chlorine on it like normal.
Link Walker said, "Have you taught Scott how to play BattleTech yet, Jason? Didn't you play that when you went up there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I went to
Long
Scott's,
time ago."
we played BattleTech.
Scott is now a so pro in BattleTech.
He beat me.
There's water in Guinness, so that counts as hydration, right? Sure.
I don't know how that works, but
Probably
okay.
should drink some water too. No, it didn't corrode everything, Sugar Rush. It just didn't prevent. I mean, it didn't do what chlorine does to the water, which is theoretically what it was supposed to do, purify it or whatever. So it would like turn green and
Yeah, get algae blooms and things like that.
And it was a lot of maintenance. Constructions unclear. Drinking chlorine. Been thinking about trying out BattleTech for a while now. Watching this mech get painted has finally got me actually researching and looking into the game. Awesome.
Hey, there you go.
It's a great game. It is the first tabletop war game, traditional style war game, roll dice, move models, blow stuff up, that I ever played. I got into miniatures through Dungeons and Dragons in the late 70s, early 80s. And then Starfleet Battles was the first war game I played. But the miniatures were extremely difficult to come across back when I learned it. And there weren't very many. I think there was like maybe, I don't even remember if it was Raoul Partha or who made the models. There was like a Starfleet Battles box set that had like a Klingon D7, the Enterprise, right? And then like maybe a Romulan Warbird or something. I don't remember.
Valthorn, enjoy your food and your whatever, data entry, I guess. I don't know.
BattleTech was when I really found my stride because they had lots of models. They were janky old metal mechs, but I enjoyed painting them. And the piloting them around the board part was just awesome. Rather than cardboard chits on a map like Starfleet Battles. Or in Dungeons and Dragons where your model didn't really make a difference. It didn't do anything. It just sat there on the table.
3:39 p.m. Jam.
8:39.
Valthorn is wondering if there's an ETA on Wash Medium and Wizard Butt.
Wash Medium will have some in the by the end of the day today or tomorrow, but be on the lookout.
Limited amounts? Or no?
Hmm?
Like, do we have a limited amount at the moment or no?
Limited amount, yeah.
Limited amount. So sign up for the email alert if you haven't already.
Keep your eyes peeled, and then
Yeah.
after that, it'll be another couple weeks, I think.
And then Wizard Butt, I don't know. They're planning to put it
Soonish, soon as we get production time, that's a big problem. Wizard's Butt is a
novelty.
non-priority
Yeah.
because of it's not a standard production
And
item.
it's a very
It's a fun
very,
thing,
very
and we'll
limited
get to it when we
quantities.
can, but right now we have to keep up with demand on normal paints. We
Yeah.
got distributors waiting on product, so can't do all the fun stuff we wish we could do sometimes because we got to work, do the real work. But yeah, as soon as production has a spot of time, they'll make it.
T-Schmidt said, so if you were going to throw 4 mechs in a bag with sheets, what era would you pick for a decent pickup game? Just to have on standby.
I mean,
Will not be a
Succession
signature
Wars
game.
is my favorite time period, but Clan Invasion has some really good stuff. Obviously, if you like clans, you need to go Clan Invasion. But the initial Clan Invasion stuff is probably the time frame, and I don't ever remember dates. But anything that was in that initial Clan Invasion stuff and Succession Wars, I think would work. That's where I try to go. I only play that time frame with mechs that I choose for myself. And then if we allow it, if we're doing a campaign or something, or like my Carrie on her mech is a Star League era trebuchet, so I'll use something, but I won't use like 100-ton, awesome meta, Star League era mech. It's just too over the top.
No, I think you have a very reasonable mech as carry-ons.
It's not even very good. It's just one of the fun. It's just one of my favorite mechs.
I think it's perfectly like middle of the road. It's like not a bad mech, It's cool because it offers you.
It's
some
not going to
unique
be a
stuff.
game changer. Is the
No,
key.
no,
Yeah.
no.
It's
but
more of a story
got
thing.
good flavor to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's meant for story. And
Yeah.
I need and someone can teach me how to do this, or someone can do it for me. I would like a command !but that has a link to the video that
Okay.
is the origin of Wizards.
Tell
Bot.
Gabe.
Gabe,
Gabe and Chris can make it happen.
make it happen. Make
Mike
it
says,
so.
any thoughts on chipping medium, pros and cons? My thoughts are doing a metallic base coat, then chipping medium, then coating with an airbrush, then weathering with the medium with water. Is that bad? Then chipping medium, then coating with airbrush, then weathering with the medium with water. Is that bad? I don't understand the then weathering with the medium with water, because if you use chipping medium, you put your base color, your chipping medium, your top coat, and then you chip your top coat away with a paintbrush or usually I use a swab that's damp, and you'll just tear the paint back away. That's how that works. Is that what you're talking about? Then that's the right way to do it.
I mean, it was very subtle, so I don't know.
Typically, if you're trying to do
See?
chipping, you're looking at like doing chipping paint, right? Because
We said chipping medium.
right. But I mean, like when you're creating that effect on metal, it's typically paint that's chipping off of the metal. The metal will rust and chip like that, but it like wears thin first. It doesn't like chip in that same sort of way. Like it doesn't chip in layers off the top of the metal. Not in that sort of way, because it erodes through, and it'll eventually erode to the point where it's starting to.
What he's talking about, like if you had a painted slab of metal and the paint starts chipping off the metal, is what he's doing.
Right. That's what I'm making sure that like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, water on the top coat. Yeah. Well, you don't use water as a. Yeah, you just use it like on a toothbrush or something, and that'll take it off. You got it. Boom. Ghost Hunter. Hairspray. Exactly. Except they don't make that kind of hairspray anymore, so no. It used to be hairspray.
Hi, man.
Careful with current hairspray.
What kind of hairspray was it? You could probably find. Was it like good
Hairnet.
cheap hairspray like Aquanet?
Aquanet was
Yeah.
the one to use.
You can. I'm sure you can.
In the
still find
can. Though. It couldn't be the pump stuff they make today. It had to be the aerosol.
it. You can still find
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Avian. All the way at the end. Like you're a world away.
Almost.
You're basically asking about chipping medium versus other techniques. I mean, the only really other technique is like salt, right? If you want to do something that's removing the paint like that, you've got chipping medium, which is the hairspray method, or salt. You can paint a big thick layer and then put salt on it,
Wash meeting must be back.
right? So you paint your base coat, and then you put your top coat down, and then salt, and then you chip the salt away, and it'll reveal the base coat underneath it.
Forget the ozone. Bring back Aquanet for cheap chipping medium.
So that's the funny thing, is that none of that had anything to do with the ozone, by the way. If you
Propaganda.
if you want to learn about government propaganda, go read about the ozone. They said that we had to stop using spray cans because it was messing with the ozone. And when the scientists came out and said, so since we've discovered the hole in the ozone, because it was there, they made it sound like we created it with hairspray and exhaust fumes. But it turns out it was created by like a meteor hitting the planet tens of millions of years ago. And they said it hasn't changed in its size measurably that we can determine. So there you go.
Yeah.
Means, as of yet, no need to be concerned.
Aquanet and Farrah Fawcett bangs.
Or 90s hair. I mean, late 80s, early 90s.
That was a
giant
look.
hair. I contributed to that.
I contributed to that. How much hairspray
was
did you
there.
go through on a regular
A
basis?
lot, judging by the pictures I've seen.
I would take hairspray and spray it right here,
Uh-huh.
and then point the hair dryer at it,
Oh my god.
so that it would be like
Full.
You're basically
still a look in
gluing
Texas, and with cheerleaders.
your hair.
That's still a look in some parts of Texas. Yeah, hairspray and salt is nah. Yeah, I mean, well, but Noosh won't do chipping like we're talking about, Avian.
The best hair product was Soul Glow.
Jen wasn't a Valley girl. That was a whole speech impediment. Hey, Mathis. Wait a minute, Mathis. Do you hang out with Avian? Avian and Mathis mysteriously show up at the same time. Both live in the land down under. I am now curious.
Wait,
I
Avian's
must
in
know the
Australia?
answer.
Huh?
Avian lives in Australia?
Don't. Isn't that right? No?
I don't know. Did we know this?
Noosh's
Is that
pomade.
correct, Avian?
Pomade. I don't know what pomade is.
Pomade's like hair gel.
It's pomade.
It was
P-O-M-A.
rough with that.
He said
speech.
P-A-L-M.
Oh,
He said pomade,
Pomade.
which I think is like a personal device.
My family is convicts, yes, but I live in Chicago.
Yeesh.
Oh, okay.
Australia is a big place. What? You don't know my sister then?
Avian always talks about Australia, so I had you pinned down
I
there.
always say that when people say they live in Australia. Oh, my sister does too. Do you know her?
Australia's a big
Assume they're all like
My family's
connected.
convicts.
Aquanetta saw the Mexican girls get their hair in a tight bun that looks like it's going to pull their hair out. Yeah. The slicked back.
Ryan's like, I try to spell as best I can. It was just funny when I looked at pomade. I was like, have I been spelling this wrong my entire life?
Pretty
Palm.
sure it's just palm.
P-O-M.
P-O-M.
A-D-E.
Pomade. 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 Sapo. I missed the big hair era.
I do not.
A lot of work.
It had to be.
Yeah.
It had to be, and it was always weird. Heads aren't
Required-
supposed to be that big visually.
Required a
It was
lot
always
of
just
effort
very
every
weird
morning
to me.
before school.
It was just always very weird.
Yeah.
The thing in the front, you just wanted to
The
crush
yes,
it.
again, bangs straight up. So not just the side, but the bangs. Also, hairspray, hair dryer, straight up. Oh yeah, I'll show you pictures.
I'll show you pictures.
Just don't light a match after all that hairspray. Let me see if I can actually even find a picture right now to share with all of you. Steve.
All right, I need
have
a
one.
starting color for the skull. Maybe,
Oh,
maybe dark umber.
blue.
Maybe dark umber.
Post them in Discord, Jen.
Did Firefly mention big hair days?
I don't remember. It's been a while since I watched Firefly.
The one picture I have posted on Facebook isn't as big as it could have been. It's from my high school, or right after my high school graduation.
Ah.
So good.
That's so good.
Jen worked hard for that hair.
Too much.
She was not playing around.
Too much hair.
I think I have my senior picture though at home. I can.
I'm gonna see if I can't find any old pictures of me. It's quite entertaining to look at.
They were denim, like acid wash denim overalls. I loved them. They were shorts.
We're all shorts.
Oftentimes, I would have one of the straps undone because that was the trend.
That was the trend.
Shelby had on like pink short overalls yesterday, and they were so cute and reminded me so much of something I would have worn when I was her age.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
When your hair is your hobby. Big hair, denim short overalls. That was me. Yep. Mathis said, "How was the UK Games Expo? What's your new favorite British slang you picked up?" That's a good question. The slang. I didn't think
I'd
about
have to
that.
think about it. It's one of those things that like I remember it all the time when they're saying it, and then I leave and I'm like, I don't remember any of this. I thought their name for a fish and chips restaurant was pretty funny. Call it Chippies. Chippy.
You go to Chippies.
Which was most certainly not the name of the restaurant. It's weird because it's like everything they say has some weird thing in it that's not normal.
Yeah.
It's
not
like
normal.
it's just like you kind of like when you first get there and you haven't spent a lot of time around British folk, you have to like piece together what they mean with the context of the sentence, because it's a whole lot of weirdness. Because they're like, oh, I'm going to give you 75% of the sentence is going to make sense, and about 25 of it is going to be words that you've never heard before.
Never heard before.
And I'm like, I don't know what you mean.
Poor Master Sport is like, being from the UK, I'm listening intently.
We speak the same language, but not. Jade said last time I was getting my hair done, a young gal was in getting her prom hairstyle done. When it was finished, someone commented that it reminded them of the early 2000s, which it 100% did, and the girl looked horrified.
Well,
Did she have like the little jewels?
should have done a research.
I saw a TikTok video of a girl who's like, oh my gosh, you guys, I just came up with this really fun hairstyle. And she had these tiny little clips, and she was pulling them back like this, and like all the comments were like, who's going to tell her? Because that was a like 100% an early 2000s hairdo.
The other thing that I think is really interesting is the way that they, like, even the words that you do understand, like, I don't know, they just have a different way of speaking.
Gently pulled back and then curls.
That is intelligible.
I could picture it. Teeny said you did a very good impression of knowing exactly what was going on when we talked to you.
Oh, I knew exactly what you guys were saying.
That's what I'm saying. We both speak English, but it's not the same.
Yeah, that's definitely it for sure. I don't know. Get send over a couple of like things that people in the UK would say.
Jessica's lived in Huntington for 3 years while in the Air Force. Going there with a thick SoCal surfer accent was fun when conversing. Decent amount of overlap between UK and Australians. Probably. I don't know. Hey up me duck. Hey up me duck. Know this story.
Nope. Didn't hear that one.
Into Scooby.
Oh, they were all on the mushy peas. That's
Ooh.
a big thing.
Mushy peas?
Yeah.
Like to eat?
Yeah. They sent me back with 4 cans of mushy peas to have various people
that
in the
sounds
office.
like baby food.
It probably is. They seemed very keen.
Peas. Roby, it will be in the Challenger's Den. And it should say June 2024.
Oh, they are canned. They most certainly are canned.
I ruin peas.
They said, in no uncertain terms, do not eat them cold.
Oh,
Is that?
really?
Yeah.
See, I would open a can of just regular peas and eat them.
Well,
Cold.
you're
But
welcome to try
maybe-
these
no,
mushy
I'm
peas.
good.
Then.
If they're saying don't, then I wouldn't. But I like peas. Was the guys having a mullet with a baby perm a popular thing where you were? Small town Kansas. It was nuts. Perms, yes. Mullets for sure. The perm was probably just like extra.
Okay, so what is a perm?
It's like
Where they put dead
permanently
eggs
makes
in
your hair.
hair.
I mean, not permanently, but it makes your hair curly. So
Got
you go and they put like a million little curlers in your hair,
Uh-huh.
and then they put all this chemical stuff on it to make it so that it
It
like stays that way.
curly. Yeah, okay.
It smells terrible.
It smells terrible.
That's where they give you cancer to make your hair curly.
They're coming back though. I see people getting and for boys, because boys are wanting the long like moppy boy band hair again. So all these friends that have teenage boys are getting perms.
I mean, a vector, I think a couple is actually like is supposed to mean 2, and I think people generally
That's its
misuse it.
definition.
Yeah, I think people generally misuse it in America,
Why?
because I think a lot of the time people, when they say a couple, don't actually mean 2. A lot of the time they do, though.
I mean, they
Lumberbean,
should.
yes. We will be at Nova. I mean, I won't be at Nova.
The
Jordan will be at
boys.
Nova.
The boys will be at Nova.
Jason, I believe, will be at Nova.
He, as far as I'm aware, he's got reservations.
I might show up.
Yeah, Justin Timberlake. Well, but I don't think Justin Timberlake's was a perm. I think he really has curly. It just makes your hair curly.
You had a huge ethnically insensitive fro in high school, Noir. A perm would have been too much. My mom used to get perms all the time, and I remember it just made me sick. That smell of disgusting rotten eggs.
It smells.
It's
It's pretty rough.
horrible.
One of the last times I was in getting my hair done, there was a little boy in there getting a perm from someone.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Little
and I was
boy
like,
getting
"Ooh."
a perm?
No, that's what I said. It's like they're coming back, but really more popular with boys right now than girls because they want that boy band hair.
That boy band curliness, yeah. Not. I don't need any of that.
Gary,
FYI,
phrase we
Restream bot is
use
broken?
so you
What
still
that
have
means?
dogs dinner. What does that mean?
YouTube not seeing Twitch and Twitch not seeing YouTube chat. Oh, I don't. Does YouTube ever see Twitch chat? I don't know.
Yeah, they're supposed to.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's all combined.
Well, apparently it's broken right now. We're almost done. I gotta go lock up.
Oh, I wonder why.
That's okay, because we only have a couple more minutes until the stream is over.
Gary, it means an unorganized mess. Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting.
I wouldn't know. I've been here in a week.
What's the matter?
That way.
Moving what way?
That way.
Oh. No? The chairs are still centered on the don't eat the paint sign.
Yep.
The sign is not moved.
Dog's breakfast. Dog's dinner. Just means a mess.
You've been talking to yourselves for a while now on YouTube?
Oh,
Why are we not seeing YouTube chat?
I don't know. Maybe it's broken.
It's on.
Thank you, Mathis. I am very pleased with how the OSL is turning out.
That sucks. Sorry, YouTubers.
Yep.
I am looking back now, and we should have known because, like, everything in the combined chat is Twitch. No, there's YouTube.
Yeah, we're seeing YouTube.
Oh, but they're saying they are not seeing each other's, maybe.
Correct.
Is what they said.
That is what.
Because
they're
we're
saying.
seeing YouTube chat, and we're chatting back. Okay, so we haven't been ignoring you. You're just not seeing the Twitch chat. Okay. Gotcha.
Man, we got a ton of people on stream today.
Been good.
It's been very good.
Pied off. You're pied off. We say pissed off. Oh,
Yeah.
but that's rejected or shot down is pied off.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are all things we don't use. There's a whole thing about we won a war, so we didn't have to talk like you guys. So we don't know. We don't know. That we feel like time has gone by enough that we should be able to come together as friends and learn each other's language, though. So don't hold that against us.
I'm chuffed to
Jay
bits.
and I, at least, would love to. We would be chuffed to learn your language. I think I used that correctly.
Yeah, for the
Chuffed.
most part.
Chuffed.
I can tell you, they're not great at lying.
Definitely not MB5661. Is this Mike? Jason needs to get posh. Never. Never. I'm more of a windmill in soccer hooligan, I've been told.
Soccer hooligan.
I would put my keys between my knuckles and windmill in at a soccer game, is what I was told when I was over at Nottingham all the time with GW. After a couple of nights at Bugman's, the old Bugman's bar, the guys were like, "So we've got you dialed in." You know, they were like, "You'd be a soccer hooligan over here." I was like, "What does that mean?" Definitely not MB. Jab. What on earth is soccer? That thing where you go kick a ball at a net and fall down and cry about it?
I don't know. That only happens in America.
It actually is the more, like it being football is the more reasonable sense, but I'm American, so I can't allow that to happen.
Yeah, can we talk for a moment about how weird it is that American football is called football?
And only uses its foot for like
Yeah.
1% of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like they did it on purpose.
Hand egg, exactly.
It's like we are gonna call our national sport football. Just because.
Yeah.
Just because.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't make any sense, but
Video
What the
game archaeologist. I had a Twitch account already. You remember the login is the funny part. I know that ball. That's volleyball, right? Das Fizzler? That's a volleyball, correct?
What?
You seem
Rugby?
like you'd be more into rugby. Me? Oh yeah, by far.
Yes. That sounds like something that Jason would enjoy.
By far. I grew up playing hockey. Ice hockey. So rugby was something that some of my buddies in like Maryland and the East Coast that I ran into throughout my life, they were into like wrestling, lacrosse, and rugby were the big things for them. I did not come from that end of the space where those sports were available, so I never got to try them. But as a hockey player, I got called in by my buddy in Texas. There was a lacrosse league there that I think then gave way to the professional lacrosse league before they had the professional lacrosse league. These guys were very, very good, and I think it was like men's like AAA lacrosse, and they would bus around. And one day, that because it's still almost beer league, nobody's getting paid. They're just very serious about it.
Yeah.
And like everybody's out on summer vacation, so they asked me to come fill in. And I'm just stupid enough to go try to play with these guys. It wasn't a game like we're counting points. It was like a scrimmage. And I went out and I told that guy after about a half an hour, I was like, don't ever call me again.
Don't ever call me again.
Don't ever call me again. I believe that my forearms are very important parts of my body, and you people seem to not care. And I do not want to be here anymore. People would have been like beaten within an inch of their life if they'd have slashed me like that on the ice. But these dudes were just like, they didn't care. They didn't care. I have stick, you have arms. Let's have them meet.
Yeah.
Your mom is
They're
from
rough.
rugby, as in the actual place of origin? Okay, I was going to need clarification, so I'm glad you threw that in there. See, there's a fly in your ointment of making fun of our slang. I didn't make fun of your slang. I said we would like to share in it. Right now you use it and we just kind of all look at each other like, what did that guy just say?
I definitely did that a little bit.
What did he call me?
For sure.
I love how in England and across Europe in general, but I think more Northern Europe, there's a lot of use of like terminology for, like you said, like the fish and chips place, go to like the chippy, or you go to the kebab joint, or everything has a little compartmentalized name for it, right? Like a brand. Like they brand everything.
Yeah.
Like you do this and that. The barber has a thing that's not called, like barber wasn't easy enough to say. They had to call it the cutty or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's all over Europe. And I always was like flabbergasted by that. I was like, I don't have to just call it the barber shop.
Yeah. They create weird names for it that are localized.
We don't have as
specific
much of
areas.
that here. I mean, I'm sure there's some, but I mean, if you're going to the bar, you go to the bar.
Yeah.
Right? If you're going to the restaurant, you're going to the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to the Indian restaurant, you're going to the Indian restaurant.
It was good. It made me very excited to try that Indian restaurant down on Thomas.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
yeah, curry there. They just say, let's go have a curry.
yeah.
I'm like, okay. Like, that's a broad statement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Chip shop or the carpenter.
Yeah. Chippy either means
because of wood
chip
chips.
shop or carpenter.
See, that's amazing. That's amazing. We have words for the local names because the words didn't convey what the words meant. The chippy in Australia is a carpenter. Okay, yeah, that's what they were saying. The chippy, like, is the same thing, right? Papa Chicken, yeah, we're going to do the skull. I'll keep working on the skull tomorrow. I'll play around with it a bit. But I'm freehanding all the... I don't use decals, so... Kind of my downfall when it comes to the scale of Battletech, because you got to do some sort of detail on it to make it look right.
The decals would be weird on that shoulder anyways because it's split in half.
That's the problem with the panels, is that all of them are like that. There's never really a spot big enough to put like a decal on it.
Mm-hmm.
The Sparky, I know Sparky for electricians because in my previous life I toured the world training electricians in some of their tasks. And so I would travel around, and a lot of places in the world call them Sparkies. The only place that I found that didn't call them Sparkies is the one place where I saw a guy get very sparked up. And that was in the Eastern Caribbean, where the guy it had rained the night before. There were puddles of water 2 inches deep because they build all they're not frame houses over there. They're block construction and poured concrete. So everything's concrete block and hurricane proof and all that. And it says big house, and I'm in there with this guy, and I meet him on the site, you know, thinking, okay, great. I walk in, he's barefoot, standing in water, testing, testing the 240 like this. He would hit his thumb on the neutral and hit both legs to see if it was hot. Standing in water barefoot.
I don't feel
I was
bad
like-
for him.
I was like, okay, so first off, this might not be the way we want to be like doing this. I was like, some of the electronics they're putting in this house are very expensive. You don't need to be doing this kind of stuff and like blow the circuit.
Good night, Game Delay.
Game Delay, we're out of here too. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging with us. We're going to find somebody else to raid. But remember, if you're new around here, you came to us through a raid or found us by accident, hit that follow button. We'd love to see you back. We do stream 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is whatever time it is in Phoenix, Arizona. And we'd love to see you back. We do painting, stupid stories, some education, and a lot of bad jokes. So it's pretty good.
We also
And we-
stream 10 to 12.
And we have a game we play where we have to figure out what Mike's name is in chat at any given time.
Perfect.
So it's always lots of fun. Make sure, Jen, did you put the links in chat already?
I did.
So scroll back up, check out the links, go over to monumenthobbies.com if you are looking to be in the market for paints. Maybe you want to give us a try if you haven't tried Procryl. It was life-changing. It'll up your hobby instantaneously.
Got sold off then.
Hobbyists, when people say, you know, made by artists, none of them can compete with us.
Oh, 5 then.
So
It's true.
we make what we use and we use what we make. So thanks for hanging out with us. Check out the store. Check out the Discord where we have a tremendous amount of artists just like you guys to hang out with all the day. You got great inspiration, awesome conversation to be had over there all the time. So join in. Math is like, who's Mike? Exactly.
War Master Forge said off to see a man about a dog.
No one said that to me. He said names are weird.
Are
Is that
you,
also Mike? I feel like he just makes new accounts all day.
Are you really getting a dog? If so, post pictures.
Ghost
in
Hunter
Discord,
says there's
please.
4,395 amazing artists on the Discord, and one person that came to watch Jason edging panels but stayed for Jason's manicure. I didn't really I just kind of did the shiny on my nail.
I just did the shiny on my nail.
My cuticles are still garbage. So thanks for hanging out with us. Stick around for the raid. We're going to go to another channel and get some hobby goodness into your evening. Make sure to show some love and hit the follow button over there too. And join us back here tomorrow at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Adios, gang. Have a great evening.
Bye-bye. Good to be back.